Guys, I'm gonna tell you, this article right here may be one of the most hilarious articles I've ever read in my life, okay? Because this article right here that was written by Jonathan Capehart basically is an opinion piece on why black people are afraid of crazy white people. And he basically says that it is time for black people to flee the United States, right? Him and his husband, right? They want to flee the United States over crazy white people. Now, before I get into this, I actually want to show you guys a clip of this guy giving a woke opinion, right, on the Virginia governor race that happened last November, right? Because he's basically going to say that Glenn Youngkin winning is the GOP, flirting with white supremacy or whatever, right? You guys already know. I'm just playing the clip so you guys get an idea of who this guy is, okay, and what he's about and some of his take, because he's so irrelevant that most of you guys probably had no idea who this guy is. I think I've only done like one video on this guy. He's that irrelevant. But this article is worth talking about. So without further ado, go ahead and play the clip.
Friday before the November 2 elections, I gave a blunt assessment of what a victory by Republican Glenn Youngkin in the Virginia governor's race would mean for Democrats nationwide.
It would show that fear and anger win the day. The fact that we're having a conversation about critical race theory that is not taught in public schools in Virginia, it just goes to show how Republicans have decided that picking at white grievance and, tap dancing with white supremacy is their way back into power. And if Glenn Youngkin wins, the Democrats should be afraid, because fear works. And, I like to say, whiteness is a hell of a drug. And going into the midterm elections, we will see just how successful it can be.
Whiteness is a hell of a drug. Fear worked. And Youngkin won in a state President Biden won just last year by 10 points. The Wall Street Journal editorial board didn't like my analysis one bit and took great delight in crowing about Republican victories in Virginia. So what did all these racist Virginia voters do Tuesday night? In addition to electing Mr. Youngkin as governor, they elected Winsome Sears as lieutenant governor. She will be the first African-American woman to be elected statewide in Virginia history, writes the Wall Street Journal. Nice try. But invoking the name of Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears doesn't prove my assertion wrong about the role of race in the Virginia governor's election. Not in the least. Look, voting for someone black does not grant absolution from racism or being motivated by the racist dog whistles, or nowadays bullhorns, that politicians use to play on racial fears for political gain. And let's be clear. Having some of your best friends be black, or family members be black, or dating or being married to someone black, or liking black music and culture is no pass either. Also, when you hear us talking about granting folks black cards, always remember it's a joke. Blackness isn't transferable. But I digress.
Yeah, so Jonathan Capehart, right? Sorry, that came to my mind because, he's a little sweet. But, hey, he's basically arguing that if you like black people, you like black culture, you vote for black folks. If you happen to, be a Republican or conservative, even though you like black people, right? You like hanging out with black people, you even vote for a black person, you're still a racist, right? You're a racist because you don't vote Democrat. That is the argument. Because, again, it's funny how when Joe Biden, the white man, okay, who routinely says things that people can characterize as racist, it's funny how when people go out and vote for him, when white people go out and vote for him, nobody's calling those white people racist. But it's only white people that go out and vote GOP, they're racist regardless of whether or not they vote for a white person or not, right? Again, these people simply just want to call anybody that doesn't agree with Democrats racist, right? Again, it's really that simple. That's really what it comes down to. But let's talk about this article right here, okay? Because this right here is a hell of an article, right? The same way that he says that whiteness is a hell of a drug, which, by the way, imagine if somebody said blackness is a hell of a drug, right? Again, you think a white person better get away with saying that? Absolutely not. But yeah, this article right here. I want to talk about this because these people always say the same thing all the time, but they never act on the things they say. And I just kind of wish they would, especially when it comes to what this guy's arguing right here. So let's read here. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Black people are not afraid of white people. We're afraid of quote unquote crazy white people. Let me try to explain. Things felt so dicey during the Trump years. I have joked that my husband and I might have to reenact that scene from The Sound of Music and flee the country. Now, an alarming new report from the Southern Poverty Law Center shows that my, quote, Operation Von Trapp might need to go live. The ranks of, quote unquote, crazy white people appear to be growing, and the rest of us don't know what to do about it. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to say this. Here's another black liberal, right? Whether it be a woman or a man, that goes to sleep every single night with a white man, but yet he's up here talking about how bad white supremacy is when they take pipe from white supremacy every night, right? I'm being real, okay? I'm sick and tired of this. Don Lemon, Kamala Harris, AOC. Now, AOC's she's not actually black, but she claims to be black and Native American as well too, right? All these people, right, that want to sit here and talk about white supremacy this, white supremacy that. Lo and behold, they sleeping with white supremacy every single night, okay? They let a white man have superiority over them in the bed every night, but they want to talk to me about how afraid they are of white folks. Again, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. But besides that, where are you going to go, bruh? Right? Tell me where you're going to go. I don't think it's a good idea for a gay black man to go to Africa. Right? I don't think that's a good idea. Right? I really don't. I know how they treat gay people over in Africa. I don't think you would enjoy it, dog. Okay? If you go to Europe, you're still subject to the so-called white supremacy that you're trying to get away from. If you go to, let's say, Asia, you go to China, right? Hey, they don't like black folks either. I don't know where you're going to go, bruh, in which you're going to have a better life than where you're at in America, which is why these people never, ever leave. But they always talk about leaving. Again, this person right here, I'm assuming, would want to go to Africa, but the place that he would go where he can be among all the black people, right, that he wants to be among, no whites, I don't think they're going to accept him. I really don't. But hey, it is what it is. What do I know? Quote, crazy, of course, is not a clinical diagnosis. And what constitutes crazy changes by the day as much as by the generation. Right now, I am defining crazy as anyone who believes any aspect of the racist great replacement conspiracy. This is the noxious idea that liberals are deliberately replacing white people with non-whites and immigrants. It's what allegedly drove an 18-year-old man to target black people in Buffalo, killing 10 and wounding 3. According to the SPLC poll, nearly 7 out of 10 Republicans surveyed agreed to at least some extent that demographic changes in the United States are deliberately driven by liberal and progressive politicians attempting to gain political power by replacing more conservative white voters. What's terrifying is that this twisted belief is more widely held than we want to admit. The SPLC reports that more than a third of all respondents felt that demographic change in the United States is, quote, a threat to white Americans and their culture and values. Nearly half agreed that demographic changes were part of a, quote, purposeful plan to replace white voters. Crazy, right? So it's funny how this guy writes his article as if he can't believe why would so many people believe in this theory, right? Why would so many people believe that there could be a deliberate attempt from the Democrat Party to replace white conservative voters? Maybe he out to point the finger at the mainstream liberal media and the Democrat Party.
To ignore that the echoes of replacement theory and other racially motivated views are increasingly coming out into the open.
In a few years, we're going to be a majority brown country. White people will not be the majority in the country anymore.
This will be the first generation ever in American history in which whites will be a minority of the generation at some point.
As of 2007, every year, babies being born in this country, whites now are the minority.
In 2044, everyone is going to be a minority.
As the demographics change, as white people become the minority in the country, which is coming.
Demographics is destiny. Demographics is destiny.
Demographics is destiny, right? The country is changing.
I've been saying it here. Other people have been saying it here for years now, even before Donald Trump. The demographics is destiny.
The white population is declining for the first time in history in America, while the number of multiracial Americans have more than doubled.
So we live in a country where the demographics are changing. It's becoming less white.
Correct.
Okay.
You'll be announcing that we're calling the 38 electoral votes of Texas for the Democratic nominee for president. It's changing. It's going to become a purple state and then a blue state because of the demographics, because of the population growth.
The growth in Texas has been almost entirely driven by non-white population growth, mostly by Hispanic and Latino population growth.
The idea that, whites will not be the majority, I mean, it's an exciting transformation of the country. It's an exciting evolution and progress of our country in many different ways.
The white population is declining. It was always on the upswing. So that speaks to the beautiful diversity of America. It speaks to how that population the demographics will weigh in politically.
Yeah, so the truth of the matter is, guys, is that for as much as the mainstream liberal media wants to go on and on and on about the belief in replacement theory or people that believe that, they're the main pushers of replacement theory. Now, obviously, that's not an excuse to go out and shoot people, okay? Obviously, that should be condemned. That's a disgusting act, and there's no excuse whatsoever to do something like that. But I love how the mainstream liberal media acts ignorant of their role that they played in just overtly telling people that, white people and demographics changing, aka less white people in this country, is a good thing. Okay, I don't think you should be saying those things out loud if you don't want to, piss off people who may have extremist views, right? But they really don't care about who they radicalize, right? They're just simply gonna say what they want to say, and a lot of what they say is just demonization of white folks, and then they want to get upset and act surprised when an extremist acts on the things that they say, right? This is why I'm so critical of the things that the mainstream liberal media says, because they're driving a whole lot of extremism in this country. This explains some of the eye-popping results in a Washington Post Ipsos poll of black adults released last month after the Buffalo shooting. As the kids say, I feel seen. 75% of African Americans worry they or a loved one will be physically attacked because they are black. 70% of African Americans think at least half of white Americans hold white supremacist beliefs. 75% of African Americans say white supremacists are a major threat to black Americans. I wonder how many African Americans believe that other African Americans are a bigger threat to them than white supremacy, right? I wonder how many feel that way, because me personally, I'm just going by the statistics here. As a black man, right, if I'm going to get homicided, there's a 93% chance it's going to be from another black person, okay? Now, statistically speaking, that's not really saying much, because most homicides and murders are intraracial. However, when it comes to white people, there's like, an 83% chance, right? That, if you get homicide, you get murder, it will be by another white person. But again, black people are more likely to be killed by another black person than white people to be killed by another white person. So again, I'm trying to figure out what is the biggest threat here, right? What should you actually really be worried about? Because if you're worried about the so-called white supremacists, and statistically speaking, they're not really all that likely to kill you. You're not likely to be killed by them. But statistically speaking, you have a much more higher chance of being killed by black people. Maybe black people should have fled this country a long time ago, right? If that's the argument. But I'm not afraid of so-called white supremacy, right? I'm not afraid of white people. I'm not afraid of crazy white people, okay? This present-day black fear of white violence was perfectly expressed by Rob Redding, one of the everyday people interviewed for a Post report on how 1 in 3 Americans believe that violence against the government can be justified. Redding told the Post that the January 6th insurrectionists stormed the Capitol seeking to, quote, subvert American democracy because now it's becoming equal for all people. He spoke approvingly of arming himself and added, I'm a black man in America. I believe in protecting myself. Notice he's not protecting himself against the government. He's protecting himself against crazy white people. He should also be protecting himself against other black people as well, statistically speaking. I'm just saying. There's much more likely of a chance he will have to use that gun in self-defense of somebody that looks like him than a white person. But again, these facts, these people just ignore, right? When it comes to black folks acquiring weapons, Redding is in the minority. According to the Post Ipsos poll, 51% of African Americans said they have not considered buying a gun since the Buffalo massacre. Why is no mystery. The right to self-protection, let alone the rights to bear arms, doesn't exactly apply to black people. Think about it. Imagine I get a gun for self-protection. Not that I ever would, but stay with me. A situation arises in which I use it to protect myself. But then the cops arrive, see a gun, fear for their lives, and, well, the rest writes itself. Remember Philando Castile, we can't win. Okay, so they always use these anecdotal examples of some black dude that got shot and killed by police that had like a gun or something. And I'm like, there's a lot of examples. There's many more examples of black people who have guns, who actively have shot other people, and they were taken alive, right, by the police. For example, the subway mass shooter, taken alive by the police. The guy, the BLM activist that tried to assassinate a Democrat politician in Louisville, taken alive by the police. The kid that committed the shooting at the Texas high school, I forget his name, but he's black. You guys know what I'm talking about. The kid that got out on like a $75,000 bail after basically shooting up a classroom. He got taken in alive by the police, right? All of those instances, those people had guns, right? And shot people, actively shot or tried to shoot people, okay? Explain that, right? Explain that. So no, I won't ever be getting a gun, ever. But would I actually leave the country for my own protection? It's a question many people of color have been pondering the past several years. Writing about the subject in his latest column for the Daily Beast, Wahajat Ali bluntly asked, quote, is it time to leave? It's not just race either. The SPLC report notes a correlation between the obsession with ethnic replacement and a fixation on gender identity. And look, more than 300 anti-LGBTQ bills have been filed this year alone, many of them targeting trans children and their families. This is not to mention the threat to abortion access or to other rights, such as my marriage, that could fall like dominoes. Okay, so if you're so concerned about your LGBTQ rights, where are you gonna go? Because you ain't gonna get those rights in Africa where you can live among all the black people that you want. If you go to Europe, right, you're still subject to the white supremacy that you ran away from. Where are you gonna go? Somebody tell me. That's what I want to know. Because again, these people say the same thing year after year. We're leaving. We're going somewhere. And they're not going anywhere. You're gonna stay in your nice cushy job, getting overpaid, okay, for nobody to watch you. Right? That's what you're gonna do. And then you're gonna write virtue signaling articles like this for brownie points and to stay relevant. Sure, we can vote and organize and change hearts and minds and all that, and we must, but I don't blame us marginalized people for being scared. The warnings of a potential loss of freedom, liberty, and life are omnipresent and unrelenting, like being in the middle of Times Square with every sign flashing you in danger. And it's all because the number of crazy white people in America fearing replacement appears to be growing, and they seem ready to do whatever it takes to stay at the pinnacle of American life. I'm not sure they will succeed in getting me to leave my country, but Operation Von Trapp is ready. Crazy white people are not to be trifled with. Yeah, so you ain't going nowhere, bro. You ain't going nowhere. You gonna stay here and you gonna keep complaining. Again, that article right there was absolutely hilarious to me, okay? Because again, these people say the same thing year after year after year, and they never go anywhere. Because this guy knows, in the back of his mind, he knows that America is the best place he can be, especially considering how he's gay and black. But yet they will continue to complain about America being some type of evil, systemically racist, homophobic, bigoted country. But again, they won't leave. And I kind of wish they would leave, right? I kind of wish they would leave at this point. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.